Okay. Oh, then I can share my screen. Today we are continuing with the last parsha of the Shema, and we're going to do this verse. Vahaya, it shall be lechem letzitzit. You'll have this this fringe will be a tzitzit for you, or isim oisoi, and you will see it. Uschatim is kol mitzvahs Hashem, and you will remember all of the mitzvot of Hashem. And then v'lo v'asisim asam, you'll do them. V'lo sesur achrei levavchem achrei neichem asher atem zanim achrei. Do not, wait, what happened there? Do not, it's an interesting word to translate. Lo sesuru, do not follow after your, do not follow after your heart and your eyes, should stop, which you are zainim, which you turn away, you in your lustful urge. So over here we are introduced to what we call the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. And Rashi says, straight off, Rashi says, well, the verb has the same meaning in, and they return from searching, Lesuris, the land. The Meraglim, the spies are called, they went searching. So the translation therefore is, and you shall not search after your heart. The heart and the eyes are the spies of the body, or for the body. They act as its agents for sinning. The eye sees, the heart covets, and the body commits the sin. So it's really the dynamic of sin. Hello, Barry.
Hello, how's it? I managed to get in. I don't know how, but I did.
Okay,
I've been trying for the last 2 weeks. I haven't been able to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here we see the dynamic of sin, that the eye sees, the heart desires, and the body does the sin. The Midrash says that really it starts off in the heart. We only see what we want to see, right? None are as blind as those who do not want to see. So we have inside of us, each one of us, what are called midot. Midot means character traits, desires, drives, abilities, and these midot are, in a certain sense, they are blind. They do not have a moral. They do not have a moral sense to them. It is up to us to direct them in a moral way. So, for example, we're going to see that over here, in the Talmud, it says that the heart, after your heart is heresy, after your eyes is lustful sexual thoughts, and after your that you are turned away is thoughts of idolatry, idolatrous thoughts. So take sexual thoughts. Procreation is one of the strongest drives in all people because it's obvious. We need to survive. That's the way we continue our species. It's true of all animals. we are preoccupied with procreation. That drive is not discerning. That drive does not discern, has no morality to it. Very interesting Gemara. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin, I think, that the sages at the time of the Second Temple tried to rid the world of this Yetzer Hara, tried to get rid of the evil inclination. And what they did, they prayed to Hashem, and they managed to actually rid the world of the desire to do idolatry. We don't find today too many idolatrous, in the pure sense of the word, practices, bowing down to idols and the like. But we do find that there's still a big problem with sexual morality. Right? Sexual morality is an issue. It's something we all have to deal with. So the way the Talmud says it is that they prayed that the world should be rid of this desire. And one of the sages said, you realize if we get rid of it, the world will be destroyed. So they decided, okay, somehow they captured it. There was a fiery lion that came out of the Holy of Holies, and they captured it, and they put it into a lead container so no one would hear its roars. And then the Talmud says they went out and they saw that there were no eggs. The chickens had not laid any eggs. So they said, wow, you're right. If we get rid of this desire, the world will stop. And they said, okay, so what should we do? Should we set it free the way it is? So they decided, we'll gouge out its eyes, we'll make it blind, and that will help for at least incest. And that's what they did. So apparently there was more, incest was more prominent before this occasion. But you see from that it's a necessary drive. It's a very necessary drive to procreate. The only question is whether or not we use it in the way that God has advised us or not. That's the morality of it. We are not ascetics. We don't think that the drive in itself is wrong and therefore should never be used. No, the drive is right. In fact, the first mitzvah in the Torah is pruravu, be fruitful and multiply. That's our first mitzvah. The way to do it is a channel. We need to channel those desires. We need to focus, and that leads to its kedusha, its dedication and holiness. So that's what there's a famous, like a midrash that says that the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is 13 years older than the Yetzer HaTov, than the good inclination. And that means that really only at Bar Mitzvah do people get the Yetzer HaTov, their good inclination. So Rabbi Hirsch asks, he says, well, what does that mean? Sometimes we see children doing the most beautiful, pure acts of kindness and caring. Even the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says that the world The world is sustained by the Torah learning of young children. So Rabbi Hirsch asked the question, says, what does this mean that they have no Yetzer HaTov, they have no good inclination? Children are very sensitive to what is good and what is bad, actually. So he says, that's the meaning of the Yetzer Hara and Yetzer HaTov. Meaning that the Yetzer Hara, what's raw, the evil inclination, what's evil about it is that it is blind to any morality. It will express itself, it will be driven in any direction where it finds fulfillment. So it doesn't matter who you procreate with as long as you're going to create a child. The Yetzer HaTov, the good inclination, is that it's the seichel, it's our understanding that God has taught us how to use these drives. So the Yetzer HaTov says, no, that desire is for one's wife, and it's with one's wife that one, or with one's husband, that one should procreate. So when we say over here, when Rashi says, where's our Rashi? And you shall not search after your heart. Don't go after your heart. The heart and the eyes are the spies of the body, as they acted as its agents for sinning, and the eye sees and the heart covets and the body commits the sin. So that's that's the uncontrolled person, the person whose passions have the better of him. He or she has no seichel. They're not living with a sense of values, a sense of direction, a sense of commitment to the way of the Torah. Okay. Let's look at this Gemara a bit more in depth. The Gemara says like this. Parshas tzitzis ma kavua, mipnei ma kavua. Why was this portion of the tzitzis put into the Shema? Now remember, it doesn't say anywhere in this paragraph to recite these words when you wake up and when you lie down. It's not mentioned here. So obviously the rabbis found this parsha, this paragraph of the Torah, fitting to go along with the first and second paragraphs of the Shema, where it says, recite these words when you wake up and when you lie down. The Gemara says that the Ten Commandments used to be one of the paragraphs, but they inserted it and then they took it out. So the Gemara asks, why is this portion, this paragraph of tzitzis put in here? Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Chanina, says Rabbi Yehuda bar Chanina, it has 5 things in it which are very important to mention every day. Mitzvahs tzitzis, the actual mitzvah of tzitzis, to wear the tzitzis, a very important mitzvah. Yetziat Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt, which in itself is a fulfillment of a commandment to remember leaving Egypt every day. All mitzvahs, the yoke of mitzvot, v'das minim, the opinion of the heretics, hirhu ravera, luid thoughts, v'hiru avodah zarah, and thoughts about idolatry. So the Gemara says, Bishlama hanitlas mefashan. I understand the 3, all mitzvahs, the yoke of mitzvahs, tiksiv, You'll see the tzitzis and remember all of the mitzvahs. Tzitzis, the mitzvah of tzitzis we get. Yitzitz Mitzrayim, Dichsev Asher Tzeisi. And to mention the exodus of Egypt, it says that which I took you out of Egypt. Ella das minim hirhu ravera v'hiru avodah zara manala. So where do we see in the tzitzis this heretical thoughts, lewd thoughts, and idolatrous thoughts? Says the Gemara, the Tanya, it was taught, Achrei lavavchem, after your heart, zu minus. This is minus. This is heretical thinking. V'chein hu oimeh, and that's what it says. Aman navel belibo elenuhim. So it says in the Psalms that the fool says in his heart, there is no God. Acharei neichem, after your eyes, zu hiru avera, that's thinking about lewd thoughts. Shenema v'yomer shimshon al aviv oisa kachli. That's what Samson said to his father. I want this girl, Delilah, kihi yushara be'inai. She is fair in my eyes. So the eyes refer to lewd thoughts, atem zoinim, and that which you depart. Zoinim is to depart. Zehiru avodah zara. This is the thoughts of avodah zara, thinking about idolatrous thoughts. And the people turned away. They went astray after these idols. So the novelty over here is that these things are what's going on in a person's mind. They're not actions. They are thoughts. And the Torah is telling us,
Hello.
the Torah is telling us that thoughts are also very important. It's important that your mind and your heart are aligned, are connected, are together, are going in the way of Hashem as well, not just behavior. Now we know behavior is very important. Maybe, if not the most important thing, is at the end of the day, how do you behave? But what's going on in your mind, number one, really often determines how you behave. If you have thoughts one way, it's hard to behave in another way. You might have many thoughts in your heart. You might have many thoughts in your mind, and you choose between, you know what's right, you're tempted to what's wrong. Fine, but you choose what's right. A person that does not consider what is right and is just is in free fall after their thoughts, is probably going to try and act accordingly, will behave accordingly. So, that's what the Gemara says, that there was a big debate about what should the focus of Judaism be. Are we learning focused or are we action focused? And anyone that's familiar with people, yeshiva people, what would you say? Are they is Judaism's focus learn, or act? What would you say, Abraham or Barry?
Learning.
Huh?
Learning.
Learning, right? The most important.
Yes.
Yeah, your grandchildren, look at them,
Yeah,
right? What
yes.
will they tell you? Oh, I have to learn. I have to learn. I have to learn.
That's right.
And what do we feel like telling them? Yeah,
Learn.
learning's great, but what about doing? Go do something. Why are you learning so much?
Yeah, yeah.
So the Talmud actually has this debate. The Talmud has this debate. Where should the focus be? Because obviously the two are important and the two are interrelated. So the Talmud says, well, learning should be the focus because learning brings to action. If you're sitting there learning all day about, right, let's take relations, we're talking about that, procreation. You're sitting there and you're studying all day what the Torah has to say about who you can marry, when you're married, what to do. Well, those are your thoughts. Those are your thoughts. Those are your values. That's what you understand as what God has instructed you. You've got a much better chance of following that. So learning what happens in your mind often determines your actions, right? I think it's true of values. We even we start not only to behave in the way according to our thoughts, but we even desire that which we value. Why do we choose anything? Because we see value in it. You have to be sick in the mind to choose something which is bad for you. Why do we choose things sometimes that are bad for us, right? You go to the pantry, the sweet cupboard, and you take out a chocolate that you don't need, that's not going to be good for you, you're going to put on weight. But you say to yourself, well, yes, I understand the downside, I'll put on weight, but I understand the good side as well. It's really tasty. And I want that taste. I want the taste, the sweet taste. I want that now. I'll forego the long-term extra weight, which now and again, I don't know, maybe it is the right decision. Most of the time, I think it's the wrong decision. But we never choose, as the Talmud says, we never choose anything unless we want it. Ein adam choyte v'lo loy. It's a beautiful play on words if you understand the Aramaic. A person never sins and there's nothing to him. There has to be some gain, which means value. You see value in it. So our values really determine our desires. If we could really get down to what do we value? What are the beliefs, practices, principles, which are the most important that should guide our thinking and our behavior? What are those values? What are the most important things in life that I'm committed to trying to attain, to fulfill, or to add? One of the nicest phrases of Albert Einstein was, try to be, I think it has a beginning, I forget the beginning, try to be a person of value, right? I was just looking my, let's Google that.
Albert Einstein.
There we go. Try not to become a man of success, but rather try to become a man of value. So, that really speaks to what are your values? The man of success, his values are money, fame, pleasure. That's what success is in most people's eyes. The person of value is what's important is that I contribute to this world in a meaningful way. That's what value is. So if we could get down to, all right, so when it says, put it this way, in the Shema, it's a bit confusing, right? Let's ask it as a question. In the beginning of the Shema, it says you should love God with all your heart. And now it's saying, do not follow your heart. Well, which one is it? Is the heart a good thing or is the heart a bad thing? So there are two answers. The first answer is there's no good or bad. The heart is the seat of your passions, of your desires. You need to use those in loving God, and you need to avoid them when they take you away from God. The other answer is that there's superficial and then there's deep. The superficial heart says money, honor in this world, right? Success, fame, pleasure. That's really what's good about life. The deeper heart, the heart that we're meant to love God with, is the heart that says, no, what's really important is self-development and elevation and making a positive impact in this world, bringing something godly to this world. So that's what this is saying. Do not follow after your heart, not after your eyes. That's superficial. Atem zainim achareim, which will take you away, from God. One of the implications of this is it's a bit black and white. There's no plain sailing. We're either going in the way of God or we are going away from God. It's very difficult to maintain just being in the middle, being what we call in kashrus pariv, right?
Yeah.
There are no pariv people in this world. Or, like Rabbi Dessler said, either you're a giver or you're a taker. There's no in between. You're either giving, you're elevating yourself, you're being positive to the world around you. And that might mean that you're learning in order to do, you're learning in order to improve your skills, in order to teach. But your reason, your goal is to contribute to the world, to other people. Or you're taking. And that, you could even be a teacher that's taking, because you're just looking for that fulfillment of, the honor maybe that you get, or, some other fulfillment. So it's really a very deep thought about what am I living for? And where is my heart? Is my heart, together with my eyes, going away from God? Looking, as Rav Volby says, are you interested in yourself and your pleasure from this world, or are you on the side of God? Where is your heart? Where is your heart focused? And to be honest, I think all of us, the heart sometimes goes one way and sometimes goes the other way. And it's the eye, it's the moral choosing eye inside of each one of us that needs to always be aware of this and choose and make sure that we're going in the way that is closer to God, is holy, is uplifting, has a positive impact on the world. So that's what the tzitzit are meant to remind us. We're meant to look at them, remember the mitzvot, and not remember, oh, this is my path. This is the way of self-elevation and positive impact. Because if I don't do that, I will go after my heart and my eyes to go away from God. So that's the lesson on this verse in the Shema, in the third paragraph.
Rabbi.
Yes.
Okay, this is a subject I find I'm a bit torn, right, between your eyes. I understand. I love the idea of them. They're your spies, you know. I'm artistic, as you know, and therefore I have a natural instinct for appreciation of beauty in any form. I just love seeing anything that's beautiful, like the poster, the picture behind you, Van Gogh, right? I mean, it's a very passionate painting, what he used to, he was a very passionate person. So I'll give you an example. I was an art student, so my day was full of aesthetics, you know, in different shapes and forms and everything. And I was walking down the road as a teenager with my brother, who was older than me, and the girl was walking towards us, and she had not revealed breasts, beautiful breasts. And I said, my brother, look how very beautiful that girl's breasts are. And he said, aye, you know, like a big brother, you know, you go lusting away there. I said, no, you don't understand. And I gave up. And he said to me, he said, when he was at 70, he said, you know, one of the greatest gifts you gave me was to see a woman as a beautiful form and not a sexual object. So I'm torn between seeing a beautiful girl, revealed the breasts or not, and not appreciating initially the beauty that a woman is. God made woman to attract men also. That sounds very chauvinistic, but it's true. And I think rabbis certain things about that. There's nothing more beautiful than a beautiful woman because it's just everything. So what I found is that I can have that reaction, aesthetic reaction, that is godly, but I taking it a stage further, which is sexual, is the battle. So I can't deny God gave me the gift of an aesthetics and everything beautiful, and I can see God made woman beautiful to a man's eyes for procreation reasons, right? It's not just aesthetics. So, and I don't know what you can say, but I love the spies business. I know that, but it's not a clean cut thing for me at all. And I think for the average man, it isn't, whether religious or not.
Well, I think you might have an extra struggle because of your aesthetic sense. You know, a person that's not so aesthetically orientated, it's more simple. He knows that it's a sexual drive that he's following, and that's it's more understandable what's morally wrong with that. So
I mean, there's no answer. The answer is that don't take it to another level. That's the answer. Okay, you don't have to stare. It can be a glance, but don't take it to the other level, which is the Yetzirah or whatever. I know a beautiful story, if I can share it with you, if I may. Just a couple of years ago, I was up in with Beverly's in-laws, and there's a woman there a girl invited for Shabbos. She's a beautiful, what is the word? What is it in the Pacific? I don't know. And a beautiful foreign girl, a beautiful girl. And she had this beautiful flower, exotic flower in her hair with long hair. And she obviously was not American. She was, Polynesian or whatever. So I got to chatting to her later, and I said, "Excuse me," I asked you, "Are you a convert?" She said, "Yes." I said, "That's interesting because it's always interesting to ask a convert what happened to them to make a decision." She said, "Well, I used to run in a Jewish area every Saturday, and I used to run in short shirts, and a t-shirt, and all the men, not just men, would turn around and stare at me as I ran by, and I used to look behind me to see if they would look towards me, and it was a big compliment to her, that she was standing." So one day I was running down the street, and a man all in black, the black hat, was walking towards me. Never seen anybody like that. And she looked at him, and he looked down. He wouldn't look at her. So she thought, intrigued, looked behind her to see if he was staring at her, and he wasn't. He was walking on. And she said to somebody, whatever, and they lived in the area, "Who are these people dressed in black? Who are they?" She said, "Well, they're Orthodox Jews, and they're not allowed to look at a woman." So she's so intrigued that she investigated into Judaism and everything. And 5 or 6 years later, she became Jewish. And later on, she was single, and she was married to an Orthodox man and had a beautiful Orthodox baby. So that shows you the power of the reverse of what I said.
Yeah.
Is somebody who was so disciplined, and what a discipline, to actually not look at her, because all the instincts of every other man, I don't know, non-Jewish man, looked at it. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, it really is.
So a whole new generation of Jews began because of that one man.
Right. Well, it gives, I guess, some dignity to women if they are
Yes,
not viewed.
yes, absolutely. When I gave a talk to the Beth Jacob women, and when I first came there, how beautiful, they were, how well they were dressed well. And I ended by saying, "Thank you for restoring my dignity as a man, because you showed your dignity as a woman." And to me, that says it all.
Yeah.
Men totally lose their dignity because of sexually dressed women. But a woman who keeps her own dignity restores a man's
Right.
dignity. And that's what being Orthodox community gave me. It restored my dignity as a man.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure.
Very nice.
Okay, friends. I have to run. We'll see you on Thursday.
Hopefully, if I can get in.
Okay. Just call me, Barry, on WhatsApp if you can't.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
thanks. Okay.
All
see
right.
you.
Okay. Bye, everyone.